This day in sports history. Hey, real quick, you've heard me talk a lot about the Sterling Soap Company over the past few months, and if you haven't tried out their soaps, I get it. It's not easy changing up your routine. But let me just say, if you give them a try, I'm nearly 100% certain you will have zero regrets. They carry not only bar soap, but shave soap, liquid body soap, body lotions, beard balm, lip balm, and a lot more. Plus, there are myriad scents to choose from. Their products are made with natural ingredients and scented oils, and they are committed to being environmentally conscious. And I always get a handwritten note on my packing slip, so I know it's been checked before shipping, and it's a nice little human touch in a world that seems to be going away from that. Give Sterling Soap a try today at sterlingsoap.com. It's January 23rd, and on this day in 1971, an open briefcase led to two championship-caliber basketball teams having their seasons vacated. All credit for this story goes to Bill Simmons and his amazing bestseller, The Book of Basketball. I highly recommend you purchase that book. You will not regret it one bit. Also, if you're not listening to Bill Simmons' podcast along with this one, then you're simply doing it wrong. But a footnote in the Book of Basketball led me to look into this story a little bit more. So, as the story goes, ABA Commissioner Jack Dolph was attending the ABA All-Star Game on this night in 1971 at the Greensboro Coliseum in North Carolina. He was sitting courtside along press row, and at some point during the night, he left his briefcase open on the table. Visible to the sharp, lurking eyes of the media covering the event were two signed contracts for Howard Porter and Jim McDaniels. Now, it was no secret that the ABA had just held its early, secret draft of college players. Obviously, with this being mid-January, the college basketball season was still going on, and so a current college player being under contract with a professional team would be an NCAA violation, making him ineligible. Porter was a 6'8" senior playing for the Villanova Wildcats, and McDaniels was a 7-foot senior with the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. McDaniels averaged just under 30 points a game that season, and he was named Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year for the second time. The information of the signed contracts leaked, and the NCAA started an investigation. Now, the NCAA said later that it had prior knowledge of Porter's signing, but it wasn't until after the leak that they started to pursue it. The teams continued to play with Porter and McDaniels still eligible, and Nova and the Hilltoppers actually faced each other in the semifinals of the NCAA tournament 2 months later, with the Wildcats winning in double overtime before eventually losing to UCLA in the championship game. After the investigation concluded, the NCAA ruled that Porter had signed an ABA contract on December 16th of 1970. He was then selected by the Pittsburgh Condors in the secret, not-so-secret draft in January, but he never played for them. McDaniel's situation was a little cloudier, and he was ruled ineligible after the regular season. The entire 1970-71 Villanova season was vacated, while the Western Kentucky postseason was negated, with their official record for that year listed as 20-5. Now, there is the strong possibility it would have never come to that if it had not been for an open and unattended briefcase by the ABA commissioner on this night in 1971. On this day in 1983, Bjorn Borg surprised the tennis world by retiring. For one, Borg was only 26, and second, nobody had really heard from the guy for the past 16 months. Borg was a master on the slower surfaces, winning 6 French Opens and 5 consecutive Wimbledon titles from 1976 through 1980. But he did have his issues on the hard surfaces, never winning an Aussie or a US Open. The last time that he was seen at an ATP event was the 1981 US Open final against John McEnroe. In that final, Borg won the first set, but McEnroe won the next 3 to win his 4th Grand Slam event and his 3rd Open. It was Borg's 10th failure at the US Open, and immediately after the match ended, Borg exited the court, jumped in his car, went to the airport, and he was airborne still wearing his Fila gear before McEnroe's on-court celebration was over. The initial reaction to his sudden exit was that this was just another rich tennis player acting like a spoiled brat. But it came out later that a death threat against him had been made during his semifinal match with Jimmy Connors. Another death threat came in prior to his match with McEnroe, and so, fearing for his safety, he made a hasty exit in an effort to get back to his native Sweden. So, when Borg made his retirement announcement on this day, many thought that during the preceding 16 months that he'd simply been working out. He was a workout fiend, practicing on court 5 hours a day. The dude had a resting heart rate reported to be around 30 beats per minute. Also, the '81 U.S. Open was the last major one with the small-headed wooden rackets. Oversized rackets made of composite materials had been around for a few years, and they were beginning to take over at that point. The new rackets took some getting used to, so maybe Borg was simply working out the kinks with the new gear. But on this day, he announced that he simply did not have the right motivation, could not give 100%, and tennis simply wasn't fun any longer. Now, Borg attempted a comeback in 1990, but that failed miserably. At age 34, taking on much younger competition, he lost all 12 of his comeback matches that he played, and he retired for the final time. There are a lot of what-ifs in looking back at Borg's brief but illustrious career that ended on this day in 1983. On this day in 1944, the Detroit Red Wings beat the New York Rangers 15-0. It still stands as the biggest goal differential in NHL history. So you might be asking, did Rangers goalie Ken McCauley actually make any saves that night? And the answer to that is yes, he did. 43 saves, as a matter of fact, which illustrates how much of an avalanche that he faced. He actually admitted that he feared for his life during the constant barrage of shots that night. By contrast, Detroit's goalie only made 9 stops. In one 4-minute span, the Red Wings scored 4 goals. So this was due in large part to the majority of the Rangers lineup being overseas fighting in World War II. So they were a little bit short-handed. 10 different Red Wings scored on this night. Sid Howe scored a hat trick in the final 8 minutes of the game. It was within a whisker of being 16-0. A puck actually crossed the line just after the final horn sounded. Things did not get much better for the Rangers. They did not win a game the rest of the year. And in 2015, Golden State's Klay Thompson set an NBA record for points in a quarter when he dropped 37 in the third of a 126-101 win over Sacramento. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. If you think that alternative milks are a new thing, well, you would be mistaken. Cookbooks from medieval times reference almond milk, and the earliest mention of soy milk can be found on a Chinese stone slab from around the 1st century. Among relics from Madagascar and Southeast Asia, archaeologists found coconut craters that date back to around 1500 BCE, believed to be used to make coconut milk. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.